where were your sources coming from for this?
Sources?
Your energy.
My energy, or I guess my inspiration, or the place I feel like I'm working from, is a complete 17-year-old mindset, 16, 17-year-old way of thinking, real, very youthful. It's like as if a 17-year-old was making this movie. I guess that's how I feel, with all the knowledge of filmmaking and everything I've got, but I've cut out everything else, all, emotional development in between. So I feel in a pretty weird state of mind right now.
What about, and how much of it is taken from your experience?
Gosh, yeah, people ask me that all the time, like, which character in this are you, and is this all real, or did this happen? And yeah, I mean, part of me says, yeah, it's all real, but it's like none of it's real too. I mean, it's based on real things, but it's always these people aren't exact people. There's composites, there's thoughts. Some of it's later stuff, things I didn't realize till 10 years later. I guess you look back on your past, you look back on something, you think about it, and it kind of becomes metaphorical. It means something else. So it's a lot of that.
How do you feel about working with actors? What are some of your methods? How do you create real?
I love actors. I mean, I trained as an actor for a long time, so for me that's fun. I wish I could do that all day long. Just rehearse and talk about the scenes and work through it and stuff like that.
Well, what do you tell your actors? How do you?
What do I tell them?
Get that Dazed.
I think by the time they are cast, which was a lengthy process in itself, I tell them they are this person. I mean, and a lot of this has to come through them. It has to be their own, their own emotions, their own feelings and thoughts and evolution as a character. But to get to that is kind of tricky because, I mean, a lot of these characters, I mean, they're actors. They truly aren't there, but it's to imagine that part of themselves at whatever age. Some are a little older than their characters. Some are the exact same age. So it's getting that kind of blend of where they are and what they have to unlearn to be that innocent or that youthful. A lot of them, even though they're young people, have been in a lot of movies. They haven't led normal lives. Whereas in Slacker, the people I was working with, basically, they weren't actors, and there was a certain openness that was really, it was incredible, but I had to be even more manipulative to get what I wanted out of them. Where here, I think the intention is there. I can be very open with, okay, this character, this means this to me, and I think, the way we think about the character, I'm being completely open and honest about what it all means. Where Slacker was kind of like the Manhattan Project. No one really knew what the other was doing, and it was me kind of juggling all the balls in the air, and no one really knew how they would come down except for me. Where this is, it's roadmap. There's a script, much more so. We kind of know. I mean, we had that roadmap in Slacker, but it wasn't quite the same.
What about like the first time you saw all the cast together?
Oh my God, it was kind of overwhelming. We had a callback in Los Angeles that had about 40 of them. It wasn't, which was double the number who would ultimately be in the cast, and we were mixing people and having them do certain scenes. And that was really nerve-wracking because I knew a lot of the people I was working with I wouldn't ultimately be working with on this movie. But seeing them all together, I just knew this was going to be very special. It looked like sitting outside waiting for tickets at a rock concert or something. There's all these kids smoking. It looked like the smoking section of a high school. I said, wow, this looks really, really good. There's a great energy here. But it was really wonderful when they got here in town and we started working together, just to look up and have the cast for this movie. It's like, what would the military analogy be, going into battle together. We're all in the same room and this is it. There's no additional or less or any questions. It's all of us, and I don't know.
Back to all the different stages of the whole process, and a whole nother one begins tomorrow. And what are you going to be thinking about when you go to sleep tonight? How are you going to be feeling? What's going to be the last thought as your eyes?
I don't know. I've been waiting for the big panic to hit as far as, oh my God, I'm really doing this movie and it's for a studio and there's, several $1 million on the line and all that. That hasn't really hit me yet. I'm so caught up in just the machinery of it all that it just seems, I don't really take it that personal, like, hey, this is all at the service of my little, crazy idea or, fucked up adolescence or whatever. It's like, I guess the machine is so big and massive and moving that I don't question it. It's like a lot of things.
Is there anything you're going to tell yourself? I mean, when you...
No, I think I intentionally downplay it and just go in on... Or what helps me is when you get toward shooting, it's really solving problems and making it work as good as you can. It gets very specific. These last 2 weeks have been more nerve-wracking because I'm really dealing with the entire movie in rehearsals every day. Every day it's thinking about scenes that we won't film for 7 weeks and just the all-encompassing idea of the entire movie and conveying that every second, all day long, is all that. I think there's a certain comfort and a whole new level and a different kind of panic that goes in when you're on the set and you're trying to get that shot in that scene in this amount of time. So, but there's a certain comfort in that. It kind of becomes more refined and focused. So I kind of, at this point, look forward to that.
Will it be a relief?
Oh, it's a relief in one way, but then in another, it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of tough, too, because you're getting what you're getting, and it's your one-way, I don't know, definitive trip kind of continues like that.
Okay, Parker.
Okay, babe.
Are you rolling?
Yeah.
Okay. So how's it been working on Dazed and Confused?
It's been great. I wish I did more.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What's great about it?
The people, the actors, Rick, everyone. Everyone's really nice. It's laid back. It's great.
How's it been working in an ensemble?
Yeah, it's because we all hang out at that hotel. And they hate us! It's great to get to know other actors who are my age, who are talented, and it's inspiring to see people do good work and all that.
What do you think about high school in general? Do you think was this like your high school?
Yeah. Yeah, this was my high school. Small town, nothing to do, cruise around. It's that, you're like forced to hang out with people that you really wouldn't hang out with. Like in my high school, I only had like 1 or 2 really good friends. I really was like Cynthia in the movie in high school. Kind of like tomboy. Horrible experience. High school. Worst 4 years of my life. My mother came up to me when I graduated. She came up to me and said, because I just like, oh, Mom, I hate it, I want to go away. Last day when I graduated, she came up to me and said, I'm sorry, Parker, you're right, I had no idea. Crying, I'm sorry.
So, what do you think about the set? Like, has this script given you any perspective on the 70s? What do you think?
Oh, the 70s, yeah. I was about 8 in 1976, and I wanted to be those girls. The bell-bottoms, the candies, sun-in, the tan, everything. So it's great to play, when I was 8 years old, how I looked up to girls and that whole cheesy look. And now it's like I think everyone looks great. Everyone should wear bell-bottoms and platform shoes. I love it. But I think it really says a lot about the period. Sort of apathetic, not really knowing what to do, and
How's it been working with Rick?
Rick, Rick who? No. Rick is great. He's great. He'll come up and say, well, what would you like to do with this scene? Have you thought about the scene? What would you like to bring to it? And I haven't really worked on any movies, just like one, but I don't think there'll ever be another director who will do that. So this whole thing has been a really special experience. Special.
So I'm not going to say anything unless you promise me that I'm going to be in the whole thing. Just kidding.
It's about you, the
This
entire
is a documentary called Ben Affleck. It's a story about Ben Affleck doing this film.
Ben, I have a question for you.
Are we rolling?
Yeah,
Okay.
we're rolling.
More moments in the
Okay.
wind.
I'm just wondering how working on Dazed and Confused has been so far.
So far, it's been a lot of fun. You know, it's been pretty cool. It hasn't. I mean, it's been a little bit rushed and a little bit hectic and a little bit, you know, crazy because of all the stuff that we have to get done and all the stuff that everyone wants to contribute. You know what I mean? Everybody has so much more than what's scripted. You know, me, everybody, and so it's like that you want to get all this stuff in there, and then, of course, you know, even if you shoot it all, it makes for a 4-hour movie. You know, so you can't. But so that's been fun, and still, even though we, you know, you can tell that, you know, like always, you got to rush, you got to go, we have to get this. People are still relaxed, and you know, in terms of like just working with them and willing to let you just kind of go and, you know, kind of do whatever you got to do so that it comes out the way you want it to.
How's it been working with an ensemble cast?
That's been fun actually. It's like because it's not just kind of like working with an ensemble cast. I mean, there's so many, with the exception of, you know, Jason, Pink. Most of the characters sort of have their cliques, their group that they kind of stay to. You know, the girls kind of have their girl group and they hang out with guys and stuff. But and same thing with the guys. But for the most part, it's like, you know, the most of it has been hanging out with an ensemble. You know, doing this. Most of the time, you do something, you're like playing the son or the whatever, and there's, you know, 2 adult actors, and you know, but this is a bunch of kids, you know, every night, or young adults, you know, every night everyone's going out and having fun, and like there aren't any big egos or, you know, people that make it not fun. Everyone's kind of willing to hang out with everybody else and see how much fun they can have and see how well you can get to know everybody else, and that, you know, that comes through, I think. You know what I mean? That shows, even if it's just like being comfortable with somebody, or sitting, you know, not, you know, ad-libbing or improvisation. It's so important to have like some kind of base. You know what I mean? It makes it so much easier when, like, if I'm doing something with Cole and I've like been hanging out with Cole anyway for months and we've been like doing whatever. So it's like, you know, the same thing. You know what I mean? And most people you find, it's interesting because a lot of people you can see kind of like slipping, even in their you know, social life and you know, after work, they're kind of, you can see people sort of subconsciously like kind of slip into their characters, do stuff that their characters would do, you know what I mean? And so it's interesting to see people kind of change. I mean, I know that I've sort of gotten a little weird, you know what I mean? But it's cool. It's fun to watch and it's fun to be around, and it's a lot better than just kind of sitting in your hotel room and, you know. And it's like also you get to see, you know, everybody's going out there and it's like you're always hearing reports from, you know, the field. Everyone's coming back like, oh, this day did this scene, the newspaper scene, or that scene, or this scene, and that's kind of fun, you know what I mean? You talk about it, and it's like, if you're young and an actor, you know, it's always hard. I mean, I guess it's always sort of a little bit nerve-wracking, but, you know, everyone's real open and talks to each other, and there isn't a lot of that, you know, bullshit that's always associated with, or, you know, acting and actors and being neurotic and stuff. Everyone's kind of just cool, and, you know, it's been a lot more fun than usual, you know.
What about high school? Is this reflective of high school for you?
I'll tell you what is reflective for high school for me. It's like, you know, my character, you know, is pretty into the whole hazing thing, right? And I remember, this is like all gone now. When I remember when I was like 8 years old and I first moved into the neighborhood where I grew up in the high school I was going to, I remember that there was always like, there was the biggest thing was that the high school freshmen, except it was in the beginning of the year, I think it was the first 3 days of the year, would get, we called it stripped. What happened was if you were a freshman, like in fact, they even went so far, they kind of institutionalized it because the school would let the freshmen out a half hour early, you know, so they could get like a head start. And in my neighborhood, there would be like gangs of high school kids that would come through looking for freshmen. Like, you a freshman, you a freshman? And everyone would be like, no, you know, and we were all planning what we'd say when we were freshmen, say we were in 8th grade or whatever. But it was like fun, you know, we weren't totally terrorized. It was like attention, and it was fun. We'd get run from people, but they'd catch freshmen and they'd strip all their clothes off, and like they'd have to run home naked, and there was all these stories about kids who ran home with like paper plates, you know, over their crotch or whatever, and you'd see like sneakers and clothes hang from telephone wires and stuff. So that was like perfectly reflective of my my high school. Want me to tell you what's interesting about this movie? I'll tell you what.
Matter of fact.
Okay. Let me tell you what. Seriously, on a serious note, the great thing about this movie, it's like, there was this comedian who had this routine where he used to say, like, you know, nowadays there's such a moral push on everything. You know, don't drink and drive, don't smoke, safe sex, everything. It's like, you know, everything's like in your life, your everyday life, and everything's bad. You know, you're an asshole, you can't smoke here, you can't do anything. This is a time, like the 70s is a time when there was an ashtray on every table in every restaurant. There's no like talk about secondary smoke. Every time I'm in my car in this movie, I have a beer. And it's like not a big thing. It's not like, it doesn't foreshadow death. You know, it's just like a fact, you know. Because people like, only recently could you like not buy a beer in Texas and like drink behind the wheel. You know what I mean?
You can't even get a drink here. From 2 to 7, you can't drink.
Yeah.
Believe that?
On Sunday they don't serve.
That's
till noon.
ridiculous.
Yeah, and that's a wait. Seriously though, it's like there's no, nobody cares about like all this thing about like like everyone, you can have sex whenever you want, have to use a condom. It's not a big deal, you know what I mean?
Don't make a big thing out of it.
People drink and drive, and it's not. It's just like the way it was, and that's a lot different than it is now. You know what I mean? There's like all this stuff that everyone thinks about and talks about and like pushes on you that wasn't there then. You know what I mean? People are like, all these kids are drunk. I don't know. I think the drinking age was 18 at this point. You know what I mean? Which is the way it still should be, in my opinion. But it's like there was more. It seems like there was a little bit more freedom if you were young. You know what I mean? You could do stuff. Everyone wasn't like breathing down your neck about how what a bad person you were. Not that I think drinking and driving is bad. You know what I mean? I just think it's interesting that they present it in an accurate way, which was a time when nobody thought about it.
Right.
Nobody really, it wasn't like attempted manslaughter. It was just like people did it. You know what I mean? And we're safer now for it, and AIDS like a problem and everything, but it's just a different mentality. It's a freer time. It's like nobody can really, even though it's like Vietnam was over and it was like 60s were over. What's gonna happen next? Yeah, it was crazy.
What
Shut
about
up. You. What's that?
Back
No,
to-
but
back
you're
just to
right,
the-
kid.
I am right. It was
Yeah, you're totally right.
cut? Guys,
Yeah.
you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. How do you get your energy up for that kind of fight? What happened to you guys in your head?
Well, it was. That was the main topic after we did the scenes where it came from. So,
I mean, I know where it came from for me. Just everything. My 21 years, I think we're all leading up to that one moment. Every piece of shit, unhappy moment of my life, I think was exercised to some degree anyway. I'm not, I'm still going to go to therapy, but it was definitely therapeutic.
Was that for you?
I just think it was just somebody gave me a chance to do my thing,
But here you're.
I don't know. I just had a lot of fun with it. It was my first night.
What do you do when you're like these two actors who have such an intense scene together and you barely know each other at all and you just
Well, on
kind
the
of...
audition, they had like all the kids come for this main final audition, and he was like seriously thought I was gonna kick shit.
That's nice. But, no,
We didn't get along at first because it had to work that way. I found out, I asked everybody if he got the part, and they said yeah, and I said okay, he's through.
yeah, that was the day. But the day he got here, ironically, now check this out, this is important.
Yeah.
I was the first person he met, the first cast member. He was waiting in the hotel. I came right in, and we fell in love madly. No, but I filled him in about everything that had been going on the past few weeks. It turns out, well, you can't see, but I had my tattoo, right? I had my head done at the same place where he got his original tattoo done by the same guy.
Both had them redone by the same guy.
And then we both had ours redone by another guy across the street. Okay?
Go figure.
So, yeah. Anyway, and we, hung out for 3 days, went to San Antonio.
We're both on deal a meal.
and there was a lot of trust, and then there was the acting, So it was perfect.
Were there any surprises when they actually started filming for either of you?
Yeah, he fell on his ass.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, definitely. I definitely knew that if I were in this situation, what I would be doing and how I would feel. and how I would act, but I didn't want to imitate that. So I figured if it happens, it happens.
I think the two big factors why it turned out.
Can't believe you interrupted me. That was the most profound
I just got to
thought.
say this before I forget it. One is we had an audience there, and the second thing was we never did it. We never read the scene together. We kind of rehearsed it real mellow.
Yeah, the first, yeah, and then in the actual fight, I mean, we obviously never went full out before, and it doesn't matter that you're faking it, you know? If you get touched at all, grazed at all, you're hyperventilating at all, if you see what I saw in his eyes, you know, I mean, there's no longer any acting. It's not.
Right before the scene, we downed a bottle of NyQuil.
No such thing as cheating in acting. So.
It was fun.
Yeah, no, it was definitely cathartic.
Cool. Yeah, okay. So, it's about 6:30 in the morning. How's your work been tonight in the movie?
I got here at 8:15 and I worked for about 2 seconds. And I'll probably be here till 10 in the morning and not work like I did last night.
And how does that affect you? What does that make you feel about things?
I don't know. I don't know. I got a lot of time on my hands. I guess I should be preparing. I just feel like kicking back, you know, with the people.
Yeah.
Hanging out.
How's it been with the people? With, like, all of young actors ascending upon Austin?
It's been great. I've had a great time. We only got a week left. I guess I don't mind too much being on the set and not working now. That hasn't happened to me in the past, so I guess it's all right. I have a sandwich or something.
Throughout, has anything happened during the course of the film in the last 6 weeks that surprised you that you weren't expecting, like with your character of Slater or anything?
What do you mean?
Like, did anything surprising happen? I know there's like a lot of improv going on the set and stuff. Any character stuff that you...
I don't know. Surprising? Well, so, I remember we were filming the scene one time, and what do you mean surprising? Like surprising?
Spontaneous things. Maybe Slater came out exactly what you expected him to be.
No, I mean, it's been different. Yeah, I was surprised when I got my hair. But, I mean, no. I don't know. I mean, I was surprised one time when we shot and I didn't know they were shooting, and I was like, what was that? I thought it was a rehearsal. And then they were like, okay, check the gate. And I was like, what are you talking about? You shot that? And they were like, yeah. It's scary because you're like, whoa, wait a minute.
Has working on this film been different than other films you've been working on?
Yeah, I guess it's been different in the it's been different in my process. My personal process is different. Car.
So tell me about this scene you have to do next.
Shall I take this one? Okay, the scene is, well, we're not sure how Rick is going to want to shoot it yet, and he's going to shoot it a couple different ways, and we were going to, like, have it where the crane comes down on us and we're already going at it, but then we were talking about, like, getting that moment of awkwardness when you look at the person and start to, wonder if he wants to and you want to, and then you do it, you kiss. So we don't know yet, and we're gonna try it a bunch of different
than it
ways.
sounds when we're talking about it.
Right.
We're like, do it. No, it's just like a little makeout.
It's really, yeah. It's
No
really,
clothes are being shed here, Mom.
It's supposed to be innocent and charming. I'm talking about, do it. That's not what I mean. I mean kiss.
And how do you think, since you guys haven't done it before,
Hey, you don't know. No.
well, I know you at least haven't kissed. Maybe you did other stuff, I don't know. But anyway, what do you think is going to be going through your head, like, right before, your lips are going to be touching his lips.
I know. You know what's really terrible is I keep, well, forgive me, Wiley. I keep wondering, like what type of kiss, and I'm gonna find out what type of kisser he is, but like how some people kiss and put their spittle all over your face. This is kind of nasty.
I don't even know what kind of a kisser I am. I never really thought about it that much.
And I'm probably going to be trying to achieve an out-of-body experience.
Oh, so you can get away from me.
No, it's not you. It's the fright of the scene.
Oh.
Well, Wiley, what are you going to think about?
I don't know.
You have to master your lips again.
It's like sitting here. I don't have the slightest idea what I'm gonna be thinking about while this is taking place. It'll probably vary from shot to shot.
Yeah.
And man, I want a cup of coffee.
Gee, this is fun. That's what I'll be thinking.
Yeah, maybe. Well, you'd be a little more on top of stuff. All right. Just for right now, it's just variations. It's hard to say what's going to look. So okay. And watch his hair. It's always this side, whatever's in your camera. Sometimes you feel it falling in your face, just very subtly, kind of.
So I'll try and take care of
So do you look stupid or anything?
No. Of course not. Just have fun.
Us? Let's.
Okay.
How do you even suggest that?
Let's go.
Guys.
Kiss was... No.
I'm trying to make this a thumbs up here.
Thumbs up.
Hey, baby, you got a cigarette?
Yeah.
No, sorry.
There's 60 seconds.
60 seconds.
They say we're at the camera cruise. The vultures.
Well, what does it feel like?
Oh, it feels
Who have you
great.
been interviewed by so far?
I've been interviewed by a weatherman on Channel 36 Action News, and just now by TV Big Picture, which I felt kind of weird about.
Why?
I don't know. I've never really been too much of an MTV fan, but I was actually getting nervous there for a while. I definitely wasn't nervous for the local guy. He was.
What kind of questions did they ask?
For which one?
MTV.
Oh, MTV. They were. Geez, I don't even remember. It went by so fast. It'll be cut down to a little 3-second bite anyway. Flashed across.
What's it gonna feel like when you're flipping through your channels and all of a sudden?
Jeez, I don't even know. I can't say yet. That'll come to me later. Everything's being so weird.
What's it gonna feel like when you go to the movie theater and see you on the screen?
Pinch myself.
When? When will you pinch yourself?
Been pinching myself since ever since this started. It's the weirdest summer I've ever had in my entire life. I think they're gonna get weirder too.
Why?
Oh,
What's gonna happen?
that's a silly question. I don't know. That's why it's so weird. I don't have the slightest idea what's gonna happen. From here on out, I've got lots of options.
What does your family think about being on TV and in the movies?
Jeez, I don't know. My mother's in this. She's kind of freaked out about the whole thing. She's like, "Ah, my baby's gonna get up and leave me." My dad's kind of approaching it kind of coolly, but every once in a while he'll be like, "Oh, this is so neat." But
Okay, so Chrissy and Michelle. How could you describe the last 6 weeks of this experience?
incredible.
Why?
It's something that very few people ever get to experience. And when you stop and you think about what you're doing and what you're a part of and how incredible it is, you really appreciate it. You're really thankful. It feels really nice to be able to walk around in your dream. That's the best way to say it.
This feels good to be working. It's been good. I mean, it's been a great experience. It's also really tiring. We've been doing nights and stuff, but it's worth it. It's been fun.
How do you feel about having been part of an ensemble cast?
Yeah, it's different. I've never worked with this many people before. It's a totally different experience.
It's funny because we go through stages, you know. It's like certain people arrive first, and then more people will come, and then people will leave, and people will come back, and it's really neat to go through all the stages of an ensemble cast. I mean,
since we've been here since the first day.
Yeah.
Leaving basically.
And we've been here together. Yeah, we've been here together the whole time, so we've been going through these motions together.
And how, since you two play, best friends in the film, how has it been for you?
I hate her.
I hate her.
Oh, she's such a bitch. No, definitely. I think that I feel like I've made a new friend.
Yes, we're friends.
Yeah, definitely.
And what about the 70s? I mean, what did you think about the 70s before you started doing this film?
I thought they were a lot worse than they really were.
I know, I think the 70s are great now. I feel really great about the 70s.
Yeah.
Upset, but I mean, it was a great experience. I'm gonna miss everybody. I'm gonna miss everybody.
Yeah.
Go back to school in a few hours. It's weird. It's really weird.
What do you think you're gonna miss the most?
People. Just made some good friends. They're all going back to LA this week. And who knows if I'm gonna see them again.
Do you think this has been like, has this changed you?
I don't know. I don't know. I think I've grown up a little.
Yeah. What are you going to be thinking about when you're at school tomorrow?
Oh God, probably gonna be asleep. I've been working all night. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Michelle's leaving tomorrow. Or today. And that's really hard for me.
Oh, please.
How do you think, it's going to be back to normal with all your friends and everything? Or?
I don't think so. I mean, I've gone through such an experience, and I'm not the same person I was at the beginning of this stuff. I don't think it really has had a big effect on me. So.
What do you think it's going to feel like with your friends?
I don't know. It's different because they've gone through a regular summer, and I've done something that's changed my life. So I think it would be a different relationship, I guess. I wish it could be like it always was, but who knows?
Do you think you'll stay in touch with everyone from here?
I don't think so. Because it's like summer camp, You go and you say, oh, I'm going to call you, I'm going to write you. And you never do. I wish I wish I could. But
Well, you never know. I mean, you'll
Director, as a director working with actors, the last 6 weeks has been, it's been great, wonderful. It's weird to, it's hard to separate it from the production as a whole. That's for me has been the one satisfying thing when I think back on the whole film. Now that we're over, that was the one aspect I'll always think fondly of, the moments with actors in rehearsals, or the glimpse in their eye, or just something we talked about right before a take that worked and it just happened spontaneously, or just the energy created there. But I just think it's kind of hard to separate from the production as a whole. I mean, I'd like in my mind to separate it from the production as a whole, but
was there a big difference in the experiences of the actors and the experience?
not so much the actual filming, just everything surrounding it. Yeah, it was different as in, you start every day with production meetings about scheduling and what you can't do and all your limitations and someone telling you what your priorities are and what's important to the story, and I'm being explained to why I really can't get certain shots that I want, and that because there's not time or money or the budget, any number, turnaround, forced calls, meal penalties. So that was all new to me, but no, you just adjust and go with it. And every film has its own limitations imposed on it, whether it's budgetary or size or so.
Well, did it cause you hard for you to work?
No, when it was time to work, it was okay to work. That was fine. I don't know. I'm raging into a territory you don't want to talk about.
What about sisters for you as voicing your sister?
Well, it's pretty exciting, kind of reliving certain things or just certain moments. Even here on the football field last night, them doing kind of what I always wanted to do, never did. Go to the football, imitate. I did that years later in a more satiric way, but just imitating coaches. It just seemed very rebellious, and I don't know. So much of the things in this movie I never really did. I just thought about or imagined, so it was kind of fun to see all that and see it channeled through people who just totally got it. The cast would throw in things that were just perfect, stemming from their own experience.
Was there anything that surprised you?
Well, it's as expected. I think the process, the result now than when I started was unpredictable, but it was expected, I think. I would say it like that, yeah. There was room for these moments and things to happen. In the design of the film, there's always room for the unexpected, wonderful surprises, and I think by and large those happened at the right time in the right place.
Is there anything
I wouldn't say there's one thing I didn't get that I regret. I kind of accept it as a whole. You just move forward A to Z through the whole process, and what you get is what you get. And I guess if you feel good about, if you had prepared hard and worked hard, I don't really look back and think I could have done anything different given these given circumstances and this time and place and restrictions and possibilities. I don't really look back. We have one day left to film right now, and I'm thinking that I'm already accepting it, despite its flaws. And I haven't even started editing, but I'm kind of accepting the production as a whole and what we got. It's never exactly as you imagine, but certain things evolved and became something 10 times better than I could ever imagine. Other things, don't quite gel and come to life the way you imagine, but you go with what came to life, and because that's what will come to life in the finished film. So I never had much faith in the or I knew enough about myself to not be clinging on to my first preconceptions about what the movie would be, and knowing enough to just follow the instincts and the energy of the film. And just trust that. Yes, but in a slightly different way. You learn a lot. I could see little things I would like to do different within the same structure of working. I accept it as a whole as this is the way. If one thing I've learned on this whole film is like how to make a movie. If my first two films aren't really real movies, this is how you make a real movie. You know? Real movie. So I think I understand that process a lot better. Working with a larger amount of people under certain restrictions and, you know, rules and unions and, you know, you name it. So yeah, quite a learning experience. I just see how little things I could have done differently, or that I will try to do differently next time to still maintain even more control and less compromises. You know, I'm sure there'll be new compromises every time around, but I see ways I can try to head them off at the pass.
I'll tell you where I was on that night.
Yeah, you start.
Cut in. Well, let's just go chronologically.
Yeah, no,
it's pretty good.
Oh, well, let's chronologically do it first.
I was going on a. I didn't want to go on a date. I wanted to stay home and watch movies. My girlfriend at the time wanted to go out to go have some drinks. It was usually always the other way around. This night she talked me into it. I said okay. We went to the top of the Hyatt because the bartender there was in film class with me, so we could get some good deals on the drinks. So we go up there, and we're having our first cocktail, and the bartender goes, "Hey, man, there's a guy at the bar. He's in town producing a film." And we were in film school together, so I went down and said hi and introduced myself to the man I met named Don Phillips. He was down at the right end of the bar, had a little vodka and tonic in front of me. The old vodka.
So, I'm going to back this up, even though it's not chronologically correct. But I had been into Austin for about a week to see actors. Rick and I had a system where I would come to Austin, see some local actors, and I would go back to Universal, and I would look at actors, and then Rick would come back out, and then we would do it. We would do the back and forth thing. So we finished doing the Los Angeles thing. And it was Memorial Day weekend, and it was graduation at UT. Now, they had already put me up at the Four Seasons, so they had spoiled me. So I wanted my room back at the Four Seasons. So when they told me there were no rooms, I was, what? I can't stay there? So they said, well, we're going to put you up at the Continental Hyatt House. So if it hadn't been graduation and I had been at the Four Seasons, then two of us would have been sitting here, but the third one wouldn't have been. Anyway, when so I was up, Rick would finish, and then we'd get tired at the end of the day. I'd go, Rick, let me just go back and have a few drinks and go to bed. And Rick said, I'm exhausted. So we did this for about 3 or 4 days, and I got to know this bartender. Well, I didn't get to know him, but, you know, drinking, whatever. And he found out that I had cast Fast Times at Ridgemont High. And he also found out that I had produced Indian Runner, which had just been like a year or so, and it was Penn's first movie. So we got on a little bit about it, and I believe that it probably didn't mean anything to Matthew, but he did mention it to Matthew before he told me this before he came in. He said, young guy, I said, yeah, geez, he's a good-looking guy. Said, that girl's drop-dead gorgeous. So Matthew came. Over here. So Matthew came down, and we did not talk at all about movies. We didn't talk about anything but golf and girls and booze. Anyway, we just had ourselves a good old boys kind of time, and lo and behold,
a couple hours later, a note that said, "Don't, you're locked out of the house. The key's not under the mat."
So this girl gives a note and leaves. So Matthew says, "What the hell?"
So me and Don
keep
talking about women, golf, and booze.
And we're out there and we're swinging the club like we're pretending we're this and never. And of course, as we're drinking, especially me, because I'm loud anyway. The bouncer came over and said, "Boys, you're out." And Matthew said, what for? And the bartender said, you're out for talking too loud. Get kicked out of a bar for talking too loud?
We knocked a few things.
We might have knocked a few things or something, but we weren't really that rambunctious, were we?
It was legal.
So, anyway, chronologically, then I'll hand it over to Matthew and Rick. But this is the funniest part of this story. Matthew got upset with the fact that we got kicked out. And then how could they do that to us for what little we were doing, talking too loud, maybe whatever. So Matthew went down to my room and said, Dom, make a phone call. I said, sure. So he calls the manager. He says, how dare you kick us out? You weren't doing anything. This is paying customers. I'm here with my friend Don Phillips. We're this and whatever. And you owe him an apology and whatever. And he hung up the phone. And I looked over to Matthew and I went, damn, I just met this guy 4 hours ago and he's doing me solid. He's just sticking up for me. And my nature is always, if you give me something, what can I give you back? Just for being nice. And all of a sudden, it just hit me. I went, hey. I said, there's this little part. I remember even going like this to you. I said, there's this little part called Watterson. You know, he's out of high school, you know, and wouldn't you mind, like, coming down to the office and picking up the script and then coming back?
First, you had said, we hadn't talked about much about what you were even doing in town. You go, there's this little part in this movie. I'm down here at casting, which we hadn't even talked about.
That's right.
Until 4 hours later.
Yeah.
And then you said, you ever done any acting?
Yeah.
I was like, I was in a Miller Lite commercial.
You failed in that Sonic commercial.
Yeah.
And so
missed that cut.
Missed that one.
And then Matthew came over to the office and he picked up the script. And then you pick it up from what you did.
And I came and picked it up. I was on a desk waiting with, I didn't get to see you. I didn't see you. I was on a desk waiting with, and you had signed it. You'd given me the address that night when he left at like 5 in the morning. That first night we met. 2 days later, a day and a half later, I picked it up in the morning about 9:30. I got it and went back to Longview, Texas to work with my buddy Rob Bendler, guy who directed Hands on a Hard Body. We sat there and worked on basically the 2 lines that were the beautiful nuggets in the thing, which were, what do you love about those high school girls that, you know, I get older but they stay the same age, was one. And then the other one was, say, man, you got a joint? And then I'd go, be a lot cooler if you don't. I said, no, I shouldn't. I don't want to turn around.
That's acknowledging the
That's
freshman.
right,
You wouldn't
right,
do
right.
that.
And
You
if
wouldn't do
we
that.
go to that, so 3 times over 3 weeks, those 2 lines, and it'd be like, I'd just walk around the house, walk around, and go, that's what I like about those high school girls. As I get older, and they stay, that's right, 'cause they stay the same age. So I was walking around, and that was basically his creed.
2 classic lines.
And those 2, I mean, that was it. So
that was the beginning
that
of
was
Lucia,
it.
but that's kind of all you needed to know
That
to
was-
dial in on that guy.
There's a lot of
wasn't it?
license that comes with those 2.
Yeah.
Man.